What is up, guys, and welcome to today's show. Firstly, thank you to everybody who supported the previous video, which was the preview between or the preview of the FA Cup final between Manchester City and Manchester United. I am exceptionally humbled because previously my videos weren't doing too great. It was like 10 views or 8 views. Somehow that one managed to get 500 views. So to everybody who watched that video, to everybody who liked that video, and to the few people who subscribed following that video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And all it's done is it's just encouraged me to come out here and to talk football some more. So if that was the intention, well done. Before we get into it, just some feedback on that match. So the result did go as expected to a certain extent. With United, we did expect Bruno Fernandes to score, and he did. I think with City, it was a bit of a hit or miss thing because, yeah, none of the players that I thought would make an impact for City actually made an impact. I thought Mahrez would do more simply because I didn't think De Bruyne would play. There was a lot of talk in the week about De Bruyne having 1 or 2 issues, and he might be a doubt for the FA Cup final. But then he played, and he got 2 assists. Gundogan opening the scoring before I even had my PC and my Twitter open, which was insanity. And then Bruno Fernandes getting the equalizer courtesy of a penalty. It was a hard call, but I mean, you know, it's one of those ones that could go either way. And then Gundogan getting the winner. Now, everybody's been talking again about that winner, saying De Gea could have saved it. I think, you know, if you look at it from the goalkeeper's point of view, there's a lot of bodies in front of him. It's not always easy to see what is happening from that angle. And obviously, I feel like, you know, if De Gea could have saved it, he would have. But he couldn't, and that's why it went in. So you can't sit here and blame David De Gea for the fact that Man United didn't win the FA Cup. But in all honesty, City are now definitely on course for their treble. But I think that FA Cup performance did more harm than good to those ambitions. Simply because City looked a little bit more vulnerable in that match. But more on that in our prediction and preview video for the Champions League final between Manchester City and Inter Milan, which should be up by Thursday. So today's video we'll be looking at the UEFA Conference League final between Fiorentina and West Ham. I know there's a lot of talk about it being West Ham's first European final in almost half a century, sorry. For Fiorentina as well, I think the last time they won a European tournament was like in the 60s. So for both of these teams, it's definitely a milestone achievement to have just gotten to this stage. So yeah, let's get cracking and let's get into it. We start off with Fiorentina. Now, Fiorentina are on a run of 3 wins, 1 draw, and a single loss in their last 5 matches. They got to the final by beating Swiss side Basel. Now, it was a weird one because somehow, you know, I always talk about home ground advantage being a thing. But in this fixture between Fiorentina and Basel, both cases, the home side lost. Fiorentina played in Italy, and they were 2-1 down after the first leg. In the second leg, however, they managed to sort of pull themselves back together. Gonzalez getting the first goal in the 35th minute. It was a corner, and then he just headed it into the back of the net. Before Amdouni equalized for Basel and then put them back ahead on aggregate. And then Gonzalez got another goal. It was a weird one. It was a long ball that was played into the box. It got a deflection off one of the Basel players and just ended up at his feet, so it was down to a lot of luck. But he had enough awareness to know that he could take a shot from there, and he did, and he put it away, so it was still a decent goal. And then the match went into extra time because it ended 2-1, so 3-3 on aggregate. And after 9 minutes of injury time, after the extra time, Barak eventually got the winner. He controlled the ball well and just managed to poke it past the keeper. I just think to myself, like, you know, 9 minutes of injury time after the whole extra time period. Those players' legs must have been burning, their lungs must have been on fire. it's just a testament to the fitness levels of footballers, that sometimes you have to go out and play in those kind of situations. I just think back to like the golden goal era. Imagine how long you could have possibly been playing for at that stage, where whoever scores the next goal basically wins. Anyway, on to the important players I think we need to watch at Fiorentina. Obviously Cabral with 7 goals. He is currently their top scorer in the Conference League. He's definitely going to be there out for goals, along with his quote-unquote replacement, Luka Jovic. Now, a lot of people will remember Jovic from his time at Real Madrid. He's got 6 goals in the Conference League this season. But more often than not, when it comes to Fiorentina, they've had to choose between Cabral or Jovic because they play with a lone striker. So the two of them don't really play together that much. And then I think in terms of creativity, we should be looking at Biraghi. Biraghi is actually Fiorentina's assist leader in both the Serie A and in domestic competitions, as well as in the Conference League with 5 assists. So I think something that we have to consider with Fiorentina is they're a very attacking side. Between these two sides, they have less clean sheets. They've played more games in the Conference League. But they've just been so strong going forward. On top of, Cabral leading the goal scoring charts right now, and then Jovic literally being 1 goal behind him. You've also got a few guys, Barak and Gonzalez being 2 of them, on 5 goals. So I think this match could genuinely be a race for the Golden Boot as well. But yeah, let's look at West Ham next. West Ham have had 3 wins and 2 losses in their last 5 matches. West Ham actually did the double over their opponents in the semi-final, AZ Alkmaar. They defeated Alkmaar 2-1 in the first leg, and then won 1-0 in the second leg, courtesy of a Fornals goal in the 4th minute of injury time after the 90 minutes. It was a lone strike. You could see at that point, like, the AZ Alkmaar defenders were just like done with the match. They didn't want to be there anymore. That's why if you look at it, Fornals kind of like runs and he's kind of alone, and he's got all the time and the space to pick his spot out of the box. And it was a fantastic finish. I mean, if you think about that range, and the keeper's rushing towards you, closing you down. But yeah, he did a decent job of finishing from out of the box. I think something that will stick with everybody from that match was the violence. The AZ Alkmaar fans, apparently some ultras got involved, and they invaded West Ham's section of the stadium. It became very violent, very, very aggressive, something you hate to see on a football pitch. I just think to myself, players like, I think it was Bowen, who was saying that he had his grandfather, I think it was, who was in the stands at that time. And I mean, how do you play a match knowing that your family who's watching you, their lives are at risk? You can't enjoy winning. You can't enjoy going through to your team's first final in 50 years because you're so afraid that perhaps your family has been attacked or assaulted or injured in this kind of thing. And from what I understand, UEFA has handed out bans to these, I think it's 46 individuals. Obviously, I don't think that's enough. I think it's disgusting to see that kind of thing in football. Football should be used as a means to bring us all together, not as a means to divide us. And obviously, these people didn't get the script and they didn't get the memo. So I think lifetime bans are in order, along with some, I feel, some jail time. Because there is assault, there is battery, and there is just a disgusting and inhumane way to act. But anyway, back on some football. For West Ham, I think the players we need to be watching is Mikel Antonio. He's got 6 goals in the Conference League this season, so that puts him 1 behind Cabral. That's why I said this could very well be a match for the Golden Boot as well in this tournament. Bowen as well, he's the assist leader domestically and in terms of the Conference League. I think they're going to look at him for a lot of their creativity, a lot of their their sort of moves going forward. And then obviously the young man whose name is on everybody's lips right now. His name is on the back of all of the The transfer market articles, Declan Rice. I know he's been linked with Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, all the big boys of European football or English football. He plays as a defensive midfielder. It'll be his job to control things, to dictate things from deep within midfield, and then obviously to break down that Fiorentina attack that just looks so lethal and so critical. Okay, and on to the bit that everybody actually wants to see and the reason why you clicked on this video, the verdict. Based on what I've heard from people and on what I've seen online, everybody is just giving this one to West Ham. Everybody just feels as though West Ham has too much quality on the pitch, on paper, and also the fact that they won both of their semi-final legs just bodes better for West Ham right now. I disagree with everybody. I'm genuinely going to give this one to Fiorentina. I feel like everybody comes into this one with too much bias because the Premier League is more widely watched than the Serie A at this point. You could walk into any sports shop and you would find at least 3 to 4 Premier League kits, but you might find one Serie A kit if you're lucky. And that's just based on popularity. So I think as well with Fiorentina, I'm not gonna lie, before having to do this video, I didn't really know that much about Fiorentina. I think all I knew about them was the fact that Luka Jovic played there, Baraghi played there, Bonaventura, and it was the team that sold Dusan Vlahovic to Juventus. So obviously I came into this one with a fair bit of bias as well. But I do think that Fiorentina have too much firepower. I think just the sheer amount of goals they've scored, the sheer amount of goal scorers they've got in their top scorers list at this point is just way too much. Don't get me wrong, I feel like West Ham can be disciplined. West Ham have had more clean sheets in this tournament than Fiorentina. So they know how to get a job done defensively. But I just think that I think that Fiorentina have far too much quality going forward. Yes, they are vulnerable at the back. And to be honest, if this was a league fixture or a group stage fixture, I would have written it down as a draw. But I think because there has to be a definite winner in this match, I'm going to give it to Fiorentina. I just think this, like I said, there's just too much quality in the squad. Also, with West Ham, because of the Premier League situation, it automatically makes Fiorentina underdogs, which I feel is just unfair. But remember, this is football. Things could change in a split second. But my money is on Fiorentina. Once again, guys, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for clicking on this video. Thank you for watching the video if you've made it to the end. Again, to everybody who watched any of the previous videos, anybody who subscribed or who's liked, I still don't see any comments, so hopefully with my take on this match being a little bit more controversial than the others, maybe somebody will comment and say, no, you know what, West Ham is going to win because A, B, C, D, and I would love to hear that because as I said earlier on in this video, football should be used to bring people together. People who are miles and miles apart from one another should be able to come together on common ground and discuss the sport that we love. So once again, thank you guys. Thank you for the support and for everything. Thank you for taking your time out today to watch this video. We hope to see you here again and stay safe out there. Thank you.